Howdy, partner. Welcome to one of the most northern parts of the United States of America. Travel with me upriver as we talk to a bunch of ladies and fellers and they share their tales of wit and wisdom. That's right, it's time again for Skagit Storytellers.
With Liz Duffy. Okay, so let's start with who you are.
Oh, I'm going to have to give like an elevator speech here. My full.
Where's your 10-page speech?
I actually have some notes I've written. No, just kidding. I definitely don't know. So I'm Kamriell Welty, and I am a longtime Skagit County resident. I grew up here and went to school up at Western and decided this is where I wanted to raise a family. And so my husband and I live in Bow, which we love. And that's our connection, obviously, down at Edison. We just love that whole area and the community that we get to enjoy in our backyard.
Well, I wore this Edison shirt for you.
I actually was going to wear an Edison sweatshirt, and I was like, oh, because it's just one of my favorites. I was like, oh, that feels a little bit too planned. So next best thing is my favorite
Well, this
sweatshirt.
is video as well.
Oh, fantastic.
There's hidden cameras here.
Again, my friend was like, do you think there's going to be video? I'm like, I hope not. Nobody wants to see this also happening in person as well as listening to it.
No, I tried once, and I saw the video. I'm like, nope, never. So I think we actually, did we meet at the golf course?
Yes, we did with junior golf.
Okay, and I had no idea who you were, and I didn't know who your husband was, and you guys were talking about like Jack's teacher next year, and I was like, who are these people, and why are they talking about their son's teacher and looking at me? Thankfully, I got Jack. Yeah.
Do you remember that? Because Olive was doing junior golf, right?
Yes.
And I think Riley was kind of bouncing around, doing a little bit of.
He was technically in the camp as well.
Yes, he was. He was the youngest. We always call the youngest ones are the mascots, right? So when they're bouncing around, maybe not doing all the things the older kids are doing, they're a mascot.
Yeah, I like that.
Is he still into golf? Is he?
Oh yeah, they go all the time. And I don't often go with them. And I went the other day. I think we went to Avalon. I can't remember which course we did, but Riley was amazing. I have never seen that kid so calm and focused. He's in the sand trap for like 5 minutes. He was a little bit angry about that, but we got to one of the, maybe it was hole 7, and he's like, oh, is that water over there? I go, you're going to aim for the water, are you? But it was really cool because I think I might have just seen him at the camp. And then, yeah, we all went golfing, the 3 of us. And it was really cool to see him out there. Like, he's 6.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, Dad, can you get my chipper? No, you don't need your chipper for this one, bud. Or, he's calling the clubs different names or something. But, yeah, I think Spencer started golfing with his dad when he was like 10 or so. But, yeah, so we met at golf, kind of. And then you volunteered in my class a couple of times. And I think you did the art table, I want to say, for the Valentine party.
Yes, I do love art projects.
Okay, because that was one thing I wrote down. I was like, well, I know she's in photography, but like, are you also an artist?
I mean, I love to create.
Oh, you are. I know you are.
No, not at all. I love to create, but I'm no artist. I love opportunities to do like local art things. Like, I don't know if you know the name Todd Horton. He's a local artist that lives in Edison.
Didn't he have a studio at Joe's house?
Yes, he did.
Yes.
So
okay.
I actually connected with him at one point to do art lessons for Lila, and it was kind of during COVID. And so we went over to Joe's house, and he did some really cool art projects with her, incorporating her photography. He had his whole method where he basically projects a photo, and then you paint it, and at the end you take a dry brush and you kind of smear it to give it motion.
Wow.
And so she created a couple of projects with him, and I've done he did this great little miniature watercolor class, like lunch at the Farm to Market Bakery and painting. And I always get really into those projects when I do them. But mom life dictates that I don't have a ton of extra time and between work and create. My creative outlet is definitely photography for sure.
Yeah.
Creating not only just at the sessions, but then when I'm at home going through images, finding the moments, kind of doing all the editing. That's my creation outlet for the most part.
Is it similar to like this podcast? I was just telling you, we'll record for an hour or so, and after we're done, I'll just have all these regrets of things I didn't ask you. But then once I edit, I go, this is actually amazing. Do you do that with photography too?
There are times I might have younger kids that are maybe a little bit more difficult to corral during family sessions, and I think At this point in the game, I actually know better to like be super discouraged because I know that I will get something. But there have definitely been times I'm like, oh gosh, that was a miss, or I should have tried this with this kid, because now looking back at that personality, this would have been a better technique to really get them to let loose or to get them focused or whatever the challenge was. And then I go and I look at the images and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it so much. And it sounds so like, kind of a conceited kind of thing, like, oh, I got this moment. It's amazing. But that's also kind of the joy of creation, right?
Yeah.
Going through and finding the things that you've captured in an image, and like, that's it. That's the moment. And knocking on wood, I get those every session, regardless of how challenging it is. So same thing. Yeah, you think it maybe didn't go as well as you think, and then you get in there and you're like, nope, actually things are great.
Okay, my other question is, why aren't you a teacher? I was just thinking, like, you're saying all the things.
So the reason I'm not a teacher is because I'm going to really tell myself here, I'm not great at following a specific schedule.
Okay.
I'm a very organized person, and I can follow like somebody else's schedule, but on a day-to-day commitment of having to be somewhere at a certain time every day.
Pauline would be calling you going, your kids need to eat lunch. Where are you? Yeah.
Yeah, I like to sleep in. That is something I've always really enjoyed. So,
but I feel like if I've asked someone, hey, why do you work for yourself? Like, no one's like, I like to sleep in.
If you asked my husband, he'd be like, that's number one reason right there. I like flexibility. Yeah. I do love flexibility, and I like kids, and I can't even put into words how much respect I have for teachers doing it day in and day out, the same thing over and over again, 5 days a week, because I think I would have a hard time sticking to 5 days, showing up somewhere 5 days in a row.
Well, you were talking about, the doing a wedding or something and having like a kid maybe not looking at the camera or whatever. Okay, what could I have done better? I do that every single day, like 20 times a day with 10 different kids. Like, it's hard to like wrap your head around how many decisions teachers make on the spot, but then I relive everything at night.
What a great space to live in, right? Just recounting everything in your head at the end of the night.
As we're talking, I'm like, why am I a teacher? This is crazy. No, no, but I think that's the other reason why I really wanted to have you on, is I noticed like right away, like, oh, because a lot of people will say to me things like, you have so much energy, or you do so much. And I'm like, I don't know. I always kind of like in my head, I kind of bounce back like, well, maybe you don't do enough. Like, but people don't want to hear that. And then I met you and I was like, oh, she's like me. This is how people think when they see me. So it's kind of cool to see someone else who's also
just getting stuff done. We're just doing things, having a good time, making it fun. And yeah, I do.
I mean, life is short.
It is.
Why not?
Exactly. I say, why not all the time? For the 5th night in a row, we're going out and doing something. I'm like, well, why not?
And one thing that I always, I always tell people too, like my mom passed away when I was 23. So it's like, I don't know how long I'm going to be here for Olive. So like, I just want to show her like every day, like what we can do.
Absolutely.
And so we're going back, like you said that you were born here. So
technically not. I was actually, this is a fun story. So I was adopted from South Korea when I was 3 months old.
You're Korean?
Yes. I know you lived in Korea. So I have
twice.
I know. I don't have a lot of great cultural.
Let's restart. Let's just talk about Korea the whole time. No.
Please share. No. So that's actually one of our families. Like, travel's really important to me, and getting my kids to see different places. We've not done Asia yet, and Korea is one of ours. So we will have to check notes with you, because I don't even know where to start. That's something that's so unfamiliar to me in travel planning that, well,
the hiking is amazing there.
Okay.
Yeah, I never would have thought that. Yeah.
And I always, when I travel, I love to be outside of I love a city moment for sure, but I always like to leave the cities and get outside of the tourist hotspots. So that would be something we'd definitely love to know more about before we plan that trip.
So you were in South Korea and you got adopted?
Yes, I was 3 months old, and so it's kind of an interesting story. So I have...
How old are you really quick?
40.
It's okay. Say you're 40.
I am 40 years old.
85, got it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So I have 4 cousins that are also all adopted from Korea. It was really popular in the 80s. That was kind of the place that people would go for adoption. And my parents had 2 boys biological boys, and my mom really wanted a girl. She was like, we're going to adopt. We're going to get a girl. And so she flew across the world to pick me up at 3 months old. And 4 of my all the other relatives that are Korean, they all were in orphanages, and I was not. I was actually in a foster family that was very similar to the family I was going to. They had 2 boys of their own, and they were fostering, And so my mom got to meet the foster mom. She got to kind of see all of what I was living prior to that, whereas a lot of times in the orphanages, those kids are there in big rooms with lots of kids, and it's kind of they have a meeting room for people to meet the kids because it's a lot in orphanages. So that's kind of a unique story. So I came here when I was 3 months old, and
do you know anything about your biological parents?
I have a little bit. So it's interesting because my parents handed over all of my adoption files to me when they were cleaning some stuff out, and they were always really awesome about being open. Like, if you want to learn more, if you want to go there, we want to give you opportunities. There's the adoption agency used to actually have Korean camp when I was probably in like middle school age, and they're like, "Do you want to do Korean camp?" And I was like, "Yeah, actually, no, I'm going to go to summer camp with my friends, or I want to do pony camp." Or it just wasn't something that really I was called to. So I have all my paperwork. I kind of went through it, and the one challenge that I've run into was that the adoption agency that they used was absorbed by another adoption agency, and this is back when things were all paper. And so they've lost a lot of records and a lot of the files. But I do have basic information like the parent ages, the biological parent ages. I think we were told that she was in school. And again, education's a huge thing in South Korea, that
Yes.
you're not giving that up.
Yep.
So that was kind of the route to where I was put into the system for adoption. But yeah, that's kind of the basics. It's kind of funny. So when I was pregnant with my kids, I was like, oh, I wonder how big I was born or how much I weighed when I was born. And one record said I was like 6 pounds, 8 ounces. And the other record says the next day I was 7 pounds, 12 ounces. And we're like, yeah, I don't know if the record keeping was super accurate.
No, that totally reminds me of, you know what Korean age is, right?
Yes, I do know this.
If you were born on December 31st, you're 1. The second you're born, you're 1 years old. And then when January 1st hits, you're another age older. So you could be 2 days old and you would be 2 years old in Korean age. So I was just thinking maybe it applies to weight as well.
Yeah. It was funny kind of going through all the records, and there's some pictures and things. And but yeah, that's kind of my origin story.
Oh, wow. So your parents here, they're from Skagit?
Yes. So
Okay.
my parents, my mom.
What's their heritage?
Irish, and then my dad's side is, I think, a little bit of everything. I think they've got a little bit of Dutch. There's a lot of farmers on my dad's side of the family. They're actually big Eastern Washington farmers.
Oh.
And then I think there's some Dutch, some English, some German. There's some rumors in there might be some native, some indigenous people's lineage somewhere along there. So yeah. we've got a little bit of everything.
But you moved over here, like you said, when you were
3 months old.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So no memories at all.
0 memories.
Yeah. Are you waiting till the kids are a bit older before you go to Korea? Have you been putting it off for a reason?
I mostly it's just because as a planner and the person that plans all of our family's vacations, I've been like intimidated by the process of just figuring out like where to fly to, where we're going, how we're navigating. Because I usually do things independently when I travel. I don't use any agencies or things like that. So I had other places I wanted to check off the list too. So
Yeah.
So I think in the next couple of years that would be my goal. I think the kids would really enjoy it.
Well, I was just thinking, I mean, we had COVID recently.
Yes.
So that was a huge thing.
That put a damper on a little bit of travel. So I think, once it came back around, like we were able to kind of get back to it and starting to kind of make lists of the places we want to visit.
Yeah. And you have family in Hawaii, right? Or no?
Not technically. They go to Hawaii for...
Oh, that's
so
it.
Craig's family, they've been going to the same place in Kauai for over 40 plus years. His grandparents started going there, and then his mom, and so they usually go for a while in the wintertime, and it's always a good time to visit.
I've never been. Spencer went for his first honeymoon, and we've talked about going, and he said he wants to go to Kauai for sure.
Yeah,
It's like
Kauai is our
just
favorite. It's
the nature is just...
hiking's amazing. It still has that kind of Hawaiian tropical island feel. There's no major city there. There's some towns, and there's a Costco, which is great. But besides that, you do feel like you are on a tropical vacation. Whereas like on the bigger islands, you have big cities, you've got highways and things like that are packed with people, and Kauai still has that magic.
Yeah. So were your parents, you were mentioning that they're big farmers in Eastern Washington. So was your family farmers here?
So my grandpa grew up out on McLean Road, and that was also the house that my dad grew up on. And they had property that would lease to farmers for tulips every certain number of years and different crops. And then my dad actually worked in the dairy industry, so he had a dairy animal health supply company. So he had route trucks that would go and stop at the farms and deliver all the different supplies they'd need for milking parlors, for for medicating the cows, vaccinations and things like that farmers could administer themselves. And so I tell the kids back in the day when we used to go with my dad to work in the summertime, we'd have days where we get to go ride around with him. But we would ride I would equate it to it was a box van or a step van, kind of like a UPS delivery truck. And he'd have all kinds of stuff in the back and barrels and things like that. And we would sit on a bucket and hang on to the shelving in there. And I mean, it was the late 80s, early 90s. But the idea of riding in a vehicle with things stacked up on the walls and you just hang on around the corners and going from farm to farm. So we weren't really a farmer family, but we were very farmer adjacent. So we got to go visit farms. We got to pet cows. We kind of saw how they operated, and that was kind of cool.
I know that there are some people that are from the Valley. I'm pretty sure I talked to Melissa Cochran about this, how she worked in the fields. Oh. Did you do that as well?
I did, and that is one of my favorite childhood memories.
We got to bring it back.
I know, it is so cool. So I worked at Sakuma's. One of the Sakuma kids was in my class, so a bunch of us in 6th grade was our first year of working.
Wow.
And
12 years old.
12 years old, same age. So Olive is...
She has turned 13.
She has turned 13.
Yeah.
So Lila's 12, and this would have been her summer of working in the fields. And so I started with strawberries, and it was rainy. It was miserable. We got 2 weeks in, and I think they would pay you would either get paid by the pound if you picked a lot, or you would get the federal minimum wage, which was $4.93 per hour. And I never hit it with the weight, so I always would get that hourly wage. Yeah. And I lasted 2 weeks in the strawberry fields. And this is kind of a funny story because one of my closest friends growing up, she was really tall. She was always the girl that was way taller than everybody before everybody caught up, and I was always very short and still am. So she had said to multiple people, oh, you're never going to be able to be a checker because you're too short. You have to be tall enough to stack the pallets of strawberries 30 high or whatever the number was. And one of the owner's wife was also very short, and she got word that this had been said to me. And she's like, nope, not on my watch. So she immediately moved me out of the strawberry fields. And I think, so I first went to the fresh market stand over on Cook Road, where they used to have the berry farm. There was a U-pick there, and then they had produce, and so I would go and show people where to U-pick. So my job was okay, are you going to be making jams, or are you going to use them fresh and know what variety? And then I could point you to the shoe swaps or the Shucksons or the Rainiers.
Wow.
And at 12. And then, so this you didn't know you were asking for so much history in the agriculture.
No, I love this.
So then my favorite job there at Sakuma's, I think, was actually box folding. So for fresh market stands, you have these cardboard boxes all the berries go in, right? So they had a team of boxers. We called ourselves the boxers, and it was 8 kids, and we would be in the factory folding boxes of empty boxes, stacking them on pallets. So what we figured out is we could all just slowly fold boxes and spend 6 hours folding boxes, or we could work really hard for 1 hour, fold a ton of boxes. I don't even know I think we're fine now. And then, so we called them the box wars. So we would have 2 teams, and we'd see who could fold as many boxes as possible in a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Then we would stop, and then we would go play hide and seek in the warehouse.
For an hour?
Yeah. It was work an hour, play an hour, maybe more. And we so in a warehouse like that, they have tons of stuff stacked all over, but they have to leave a 2-foot clearance around the perimeter of all of the things. So they're basically tunnels all the way around.
Wow.
So we would go and we'd be climbing on things, we'd play, and then we'd go back and fold boxes. And then we would go back and do that. So that was, I think that was such a cool childhood experience to be able to have a job and I got to do everything. So then I ended up checking out in the fields, in the blueberry fields and strawberry fields in the subsequent years. And this is such a me story.
So how many years did you work there in the summers?
I think 3 summers.
Okay. Until you could get I don't want to say a real job.
Yeah, but a non-agricultural kid job.
Yeah.
So anyone that knows me knows I'm kind of a rules person. I love rules. I love order. And one of the things that I learned when I was checking, so they would have these paper tickets that you would punch how many pounds after you weighed the strawberries or blueberries were. And then at the end of the day, the migrant crew, that ticket was what they would turn in to get paid for their poundage. So when we got our training, they were going through all the rules about how this, and okay, so when you are weighing the strawberries or weighing the blueberries, if it's 36.6, you round up to 37, because there weren't half pounds, I don't believe. It was just even pounds. But if it's 36.5, you're rounding down to 36. And I'm okay, check. I'm a top employee. I'm going to do exactly what they say. Well, other kids really quickly figured out like they could get extra food from the workers, or just fun little things, or people liked them better if they'd round up, or maybe give them extra punch or two. And me being the rules person and like, this is my employer, like I am following the rules. People would walk out of my rows that were right by my check stand and go past me and walk all the way down to the next check stand just to get their extra pounds. So it kind of worked out great because I had to do very minimal heavy lifting. I was following the rules of the employer, and they thought I was, as good as it gets out there, and I didn't have to lift as much. So it was such an incredible experience. I do wish there was some sort of agricultural tie for kids still to be able to do that, because I think they would just getting dirty, like being down in the dirt, picking strawberries, like.
Yeah.
You learn a lot about life that way.
Yeah. No, I agree. I was just thinking when you were talking about the work for 1 hour, play for 1 hour. When I worked at a mill in the summers when I was going to college, it was a pulp mill. And yeah, I figured out how to do 2 rounds back to back, and then I would have 90 minutes off. And then I worked in the paper side, and we would do a bunch of work, and then we like made a bed in the bathroom. Someone forgot to clean it up one day. I can't remember if it was me or not, but we got caught. But we were doing our job.
Yeah. Hey, getting the things done that you're supposed to get done. That's what they're asking.
That's kind of what I tell kids in my class, too. I'm like, guys, if we like get this done and do it well, like we can go outside for extra recess. What?
Yeah.
Even 30 seconds of extra recess. Oh, they love it. So you mentioned working in the farms. And then I know that you love Edison. So I was curious, like, how was your school experience? Like, where did you go? Did you go to Allen?
I went to Allen for 2 years, and that was when they opened Bayview. So Bayview was a brand new school.
Oh.
It was the first, second grade class there.
Oh.
And went all the way through 8th grade at Bayview, and then to the high school.
Yeah. How was your school experience?
It was really good. I feel like
How many clubs were you in?
Well, I did a lot of activities, but I just feel like overall I had a really good friend group with pretty minimal drama for like middle school aged girls. I mean, I maybe ask my mom, she might say differently. But now looking back, I'm like, it was fun. I always had fun. I was in the ASB and I was a dancer back then, so I did a lot of dance and played piano and golf and stayed pretty busy.
Yeah.
Kind of like my kids are doing.
I know. I feel like your kids are definitely a mini you.
Try not to, but try not to impact them too much and let them be whoever they end up. But yeah, they definitely gravitate towards a lot of the same things that Craig and I both enjoy. So that's kind of parenting, right? They kind of pick up on the things that you like. And
yeah,
so.
I know. I've fingers crossed Olive keeps with music because I just, how could you not live in a house
Seriously.
like this?
And music is so important. I think that is something I feel really passionate about, kids having access to music and learning, because not everybody has amazing things like this in their home or the opportunity to take piano lessons or take guitar lessons. And so I'm hoping our schools continue having a good, strong foundation for the music programs because, I think music is so important for kids.
What did you take at Western?
At Western, I took... This is another great story. I like to say that I majored in minoring because I loved everything, and I was like, I can't pick. So
you majored in minoring?
I ended up with a minor in sociology, psychology, and I basically had a minor in business, but they wouldn't let me have it because they wanted me to be officially declared in the business school, and at that point I needed to kind of get out because I'd been there for a while. I had a job already lined up and everything, and I was registering for my junior year, I think it was, and they were like, okay, so you actually can't register until you fully declare a major, and you've been bouncing around, you've done all the foundation in the business school, you've done all the sociology, all the psychology. I was like, I know, I love them all. They're so great. I'm having so much fun learning. Like, okay, but you actually do need to declare. So my technical degree is in general studies, and I told my parents, that's just because I'm a really well-rounded student. I can't be contained to one specific area of expertise.
No one
I
can
like it all.
contain me, Mom.
No, they can't. So yeah, I did a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Which, going back, I probably should have stuck it out in the business school, but I had a job already lined up, which is still at the current place that I work now. So, my hands-on business experience and operating a business on multiple levels has been just as educational, I feel like, as a degree in business administration would have been.
Yeah. My friend went to, I think it was like Drexler, somewhere on the East Coast, and he got a business degree, and he has his own company. He does like hydration packs for raves and stuff and for running. And he said over and over again, he's like, Google University, YouTube college. He's like, that's all you need. You don't need to spend, thousands and thousands of dollars on a college career. Just start doing something. Like, I think he made his first his first running pack, I think his grandma sewed it for him, so.
Can we circle back? Because I love that he makes hydration packs for raves and running.
Yeah.
I feel like two very different things, but also very important about hydration.
Yeah. You need to be healthy to do both of those.
Yes, for sure.
Well, I love it too, because he just did one of the most famous ultra races out there. I think it was Leadville, and he failed, and he's been training a lot. And he's like, I sucked. I got to regroup and do it again. And
Is an ultra 100?
An ultra is anything over 30 miles.
Okay.
So like the Chucking Up 50K, it's a hard one. But I did that one. I DNF'd my first one. The second one I didn't start because I think it was COVID. And then my third one I finished.
Awesome.
I technically finished after the cutoff time, but
hey,
counted
if you
it.
cross the finish line, I think that counts.
Well, also, as soon as I was done, I had to race home because I had a podcast.
Of course you did.
My buddy Zach, I think it was his second time on, so I was like, you're fine. So he's talking about his, I don't know, snakes or something. I'm just like, I'm like shoveling food in my face because I'm like so depleted.
I can't even imagine running that much, but then also trying to do something functional afterwards would be just...
I feel like I've done that a few times. I think I went hiking with Mark Weiss and Tom Anderson, and they said, "Oh, what did you do yesterday?" I'm like, "Oh, I ran a marathon." And they're like, "What?"
Just a casual marathon, no big deal.
Yeah. No, I was going to ask, so you went to Western, and you said that you had a job already, and that's the job you still do now. And I totally forgot. I was thinking photography was like your main job, but it's not. It's
I'd say they're both probably split equal about how much time they demand.
Okay.
But I have worked at Avalon Golf Course since I was 16.
Wow.
I started there as a starter, so I was out there running the tees. And I remember at the end
Is that the guy that says like, "Oh, you could go on the north"?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay.
So way back when we started, so that's actually like a volunteer position now. So we get a lot of retirees that want to volunteer at the golf course in order to get golf privileges. So back in the day, it was actually a paid position, and I got hired as a starter. So I ran around with a clipboard, giving everybody their 5-minute spiel before they headed off, and got really familiar with the course. And so then at the end of that summer, they asked me, "Do you want to come work in the pro shop?" And I was like, "Yes." So that was like everybody wanted to work their way into the pro shop. That was for whether you were doing carts.
I think I've only seen teenagers working there.
Yep.
Yeah. Every time it's a different guy.
Yes. Yeah. We've got an awesome staff this year. So I got moved into the pro shop, and I remember the head pro at the time being like, "Yeah, if this goes well, I mean, I could see you here all the way through college." And I was like, "Through college? I mean, how far out you planning, man? I'm not going to be around." Lo and behold, guess who stayed there all the way through college? And just the owner. So the owners are very good friends of ours and are like family, and they've just been the most amazing people to work for.
When you have good bosses.
I mean, I'm here this many years later.
Yeah.
So I started when I worked through the pro shop through college, and I started kind of picking up events and helping run tournaments. And then when I graduated, they actually gave me a position as the merchandise coordinator. So I would do buying and kind of merchandising in the shop, as well as an outing coordinator, helping get all the tournaments run. We do a ton of outside events for fundraisers throughout the year. So Boys and Girls Club, SICPA, EDASC, all these community groups, we host a ton of those. And so I did that for a while, and then opportunity came for me to move up into admin, and I was like, why would I work anywhere else? This has been the best place to work. And so I stayed on there and kind of just slowly picked up things here and there, and I just I kind of oversee operations for the ownership and make sure everything's running well. It doesn't require a ton of my time, which is great. So it allows me time to spend a lot of time bouncing my kids around from activity to activity and photography, which is something I've loved and have done for a long time as well. So it's kind of the perfect balance.
Like you couldn't have planned that.
No.
You know? That's probably why you laughed when you're like, I'm not going to be here.
I'm not going to be here that long, and here I am this many years later. I think, 24 years. This is my 24th summer.
Wow.
Officially. And yeah, it's like a second home. I have really wonderful work-life balance, and I get to do some fun stuff and work with some really cool people. If everything's going really well, they don't have to see me. Unfortunately, when they see me coming, there's usually something wrong or something's going on that I have to kind of come in and help assist with. And then, we have really, really amazing crew all around. People work really well together. And I think that's just kind of the recipe for success, right? If everybody is doing their job and enjoys what they're doing and is allowed to run their departments as needed, then I shouldn't have to do anything.
Who are the owners?
The owners, Ron Hass is the owner, and he was the pro at Sudden Valley, and his family decided they wanted to open a golf course. And we officially opened technically 1989. We were in full operation in 1993 with all 3 nines.
Oh, like he started it.
Yeah, it's his family's.
How do you start a golf course? Just buy property and just start designing?
Yes, there's a lot of layers to it, and of course that was when I was a young child, so I wasn't. But I know a lot about the history there, and so it was obviously the property procurement's a big one because it takes a lot of landscape, a lot of land to build a golf course, and then you have to get in contact with the golf course architect. So you want to buy the best architect you can afford, because there's so much that goes into course design and layout that's really important to the overall playability of a course. Maintenance needs. We are 27 holes, so we do require a bit more maintenance than your standard 18-hole course, which means our budget for all of our maintenance and everything is just that 50% more than an average 18-hole course.
Did they kind of have that goal when they started? Like, hey, let's do 27 holes just to stand out.
Yes. So there's another 27-hole course in Washington called Sahalee, which is down south, and it's a private club, and Ron grew up there. And that was kind of where he actually connected with my husband, Craig's dad. And so they've had connections since he was a teenager down there, and that was how we stayed connected over the years. And so he'd experienced the 27-hole, and they actually typically operate down there, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but my experience when I've been down at Sahalee is they operate as an 18-hole course with a 9-hole extra course. So you play 18, you can go pop on and play another 9, or you can play 18 and be done, and if you only want to play 9, you can go on the 9-hole course. We operate on a 27-hole rotating, 3 9-hole rotation. So at any given point in the day, we are going to have the northwest, west-south, or south-north as your 18-hole combination. So for people that like variety, it's a great for our members. So we're public, but we also have a membership. And for our members, it's nice variety. You're not playing the same 18 holes every single day. And on any given day, you might have one of 3 different rotations. So that's kind of the idea behind having 27 holes. And it also allows, because of the number of outside events that we do, we are able to accommodate really large-scale fundraisers. So we'll have a multiple 27-hole shotgun start tournaments throughout the year. And that means for let's say if you're EDASC and you're doing a fundraiser, you've got hole sponsors, you can sell 9 more hole sponsorships to help raise funds. You can fill that many more players in your event and not have to tell people we're full. So it really does allow outside events to grow to accommodate if they have the demand, which a lot of them do.
And I'm guessing private courses usually don't do any kind of fundraising.
They will do some, but it's pretty limited because they do protect their tee times for their membership, so they'll take a handful a year, whereas we do try to protect our membership to make sure they're still getting great value out of what they're paying for. Mm-hmm. But we do have quite a lot of events on Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays. And one of our most popular memberships is the associate membership, which is a Monday through Friday, which is really great for like the retirees and the people that don't want to hassle with busy Saturday, Sunday mornings. And so we see a lot of people take advantage of the associate membership. And then we do have a lot of events Fridays and Saturdays.
Well, it's like anything in life. Like you were talking about traveling. I'm sure that there are certain times when your plane was canceled 4 times, or, you're on the runway, then you have to go back. And what do you do? Why would you just put out all that negative energy in the world and complain about it? You're probably so fun to vacation with.
Well, I mean, I ask my family. Circling back to wildlife photography, a lot of times I'll come back from trips and or any travel that I've done, and I have a friend that I travel with usually annually in the fall, and we'll be like, did we just have everything go so amazingly, or did we get so lucky that like we don't even want to talk about while we're on the trip, and then we get back like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that was us. But I'm going to say I do think that has to do with our outlook on things, right? I have friends that are out shooting wildlife photography and like, we couldn't find anything. It was terrible. We got totally skunked. And my friend and I were like, why does that never happen to us? Why are we always constantly getting so lucky when we're out there? Are we just excellent spotters? Is our timing just right? And I think a lot of it has to do that we are going into it with a mindset of like, we're here for fun. We're doing something we enjoy. We're outside. If we see a bear, great. If we don't see a bear, no problem. But usually it always works out in a way that we end up, and I think it's because we're looking at things with a scope of gratitude. Our perspective is coming into it with a positive energy, and we get lucky. And same goes for travel. I've certainly had my fair share of hiccups while traveling, but overall, like when I took the family to Iceland over spring break. And I had just been in Iceland in September before, and when we were there, we were like, can you believe this weather? Like, this is unreal. We planned for, like, torrential downpours, 40-mile-per-hour winds, and we had, like, these amazing, beautiful days. I'm like, well, that's never going to happen again. So we're going for spring break, and I'm like, okay, guys, Iceland is it can be very hit or miss with weather. Just let's plan. And I'm looking at the forecast as we're getting ready to go. I'm like, gosh, it shows it's gonna be like sunny and like 55. Like that for April, that's like unheard of. But we'll just see. Pack raincoats. We'll be ready for it. And we ended up in a remote hot spring with our family by ourselves. No, everybody else had left, and we all had this hot spring to ourselves. It was sunny. There was no breeze, and I was like, I don't know. It just keeps working out for us. I think it's because we're just positive, and we'll take anything that we get and make the best of it. And the universe usually sends us a little like, hey, we like your style.
I always think of when I was coaching middle school track, we had this one event in Anacortes, and I think like all the Anacortes coaches got COVID. So there was like no one to run the stations. So usually I don't have to run anything, but I had to run the shot pit. Olive was with me, this other guy, Hunter. And so I think he was calling the kids up. I think I was writing down the results. I had an umbrella, but it was like it was torrential downpour. Olive was fetching them. And it was just so ridiculous that we were out there. It was laughable.
Exactly.
And I remember just thinking like, okay, you're either, and it was a story. Like we told that story so many times and I was like, wait, but all the track meets where it's super sunny, like I don't talk about those.
They're not memorable. They're not
so
a good story.
So you either have good weather or a good story.
Yeah.
So either way, you're coming out on top.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the way I feel it. Why do you plan all your travel yourself?
It's just something that I really enjoy. I'd say the amount of time that I spend on planning the trip, it far exceeds the amount of time that I'm on the trip for sure. And I love researching, learning about places, finding things that are, outside of the norm. And I love seeing different things. So that kind of all, it's one of my specialties. I'm going to throw myself under the Disney bus here too. I
wrote down tickets, by the way. We're going to talk to that later.
I do enjoy Disneyland, but so much so that I've spent a lot of time planning, and I share that information with people a lot.
Hi. What? I finished my chores. Okay, you can go watch TV. Okay. I love you.
I didn't get introduced to that little guest star.
Oh,
who was that?
That was Fluff.
Fluff.
Our weird cat. Yeah. Sorry.
The weirder the better. I love
She just started randomly showing up at our house when we used to live on Minkler, and then we're like, all right, well, I guess you're kind of ours now.
That's the cat distribution system. You know that exists, right? I just had a friend that got one 2 days ago. I was like, yep, cat distribution system. You don't pick them, they pick you.
Well, and then for 3 weeks, we had to live at Spencer's dad's in Concrete. So Olive took the cat to her dad's by Fred Meyer, and she got her litter box because she didn't want her to go outside because she was nervous she'd leave. And anyway, so we're looking at YouTube videos like how to teach like a grown cat how to use litter box, all this stuff. As soon as they got to the house, she walked straight for it and went. And I was like, oh my God, we stole someone's cat.
I think
but
that
there's been
cat
no
chose
posters.
you. Yeah.
It's fine.
Nope.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. So you were talking about Disney.
Sorry, I got excited about a cat. But yeah, so like I just love planning. And so anytime I have a lot of families now that are like, hey, I'm going to Disneyland. How do we maximize our time? And I have like this whole email that I just copy and paste. I give them a rundown of what hotels, depending on what their budget is and what they're looking for. I let them know what programs are available so that they don't have to wait in line if they have little kids, like all the stuff. So I just love planning. I love planning travel.
Do you like charge for this?
No, it's just for fun. It's something I enjoy. So I'm happy to share. I just want everybody to have a great time. I want everybody to have fun. And so if I have any tips or advice that can help them, I do it. And same with any of my travel. I'm like, hey, you're going to Kauai. I actually believe it or not, I have actually it's got pictures because I made it for my mom when she was going to Kauai for the first time.
It's like a slideshow.
It is a slideshow, and it's got pictures, it's got directions to certain things, and of course things change over the years, and I have to edit and fix those things. But yeah, I just love planning travel. I'm always all about any travel hack I can find.
The other hack that I wrote down, tickets. That's another thing that just like stood out in my brain when I thought about you. You're a Swiftie.
I am.
Do you want to tell me about your relationship with Taylor Swift? No. Do you know who Veronica?
How much time do we have?
Do you know who Veronica North is?
No.
Okay, well, you need to know her because she's going to be opening for Taylor Swift one day.
Oh, fantastic.
She's an artist in Bellingham.
Okay.
She is a psychiatric nurse. She golfs.
Fantastic.
She's so good. She's not just good. She you can just tell she knows exactly what she wants. She's like, I'm going to open for Taylor Swift. And I don't think anyone watching is like, you're delusional. No, she's going to.
She might have that little something that just sets her apart.
She just did the Bellingham Downtown Sounds. Mm-hmm. She just played last week, but I think she's playing at Colshan Trackside soon.
Oh, fun.
but you would really like her. I'll send you her stuff. It's on
please.
Spotify, but very similar to Taylor Swift, and she's local.
And she's writing her own songs. She's a songwriter.
Yep.
I
Yep.
love that. I love a songwriter.
Yeah, and she's been through some stuff the last few years, and it just tugs at your heartstrings, and she seems really cool too.
Can't wait to check her out.
Yeah, so Bellingham's Taylor Swift.
Fantastic. Sign me up. Sign me up.
My first time listening to Taylor Swift, honestly, was do you know Phoebe that owns El Sage?
Yes.
So she used to own a co-working spot in Mount Vernon. What's it called? Fern Co-working?
Fernco, yeah.
Yeah. So I did my first couple coloring books there. So I'd rent a desk and just nobody was there a lot. So I just put Taylor Swift on the Bluetooth and just crank it. And so one day she came in and she's like, "Is this folklore?" I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed," And she's like, "I love folklore." Really? Okay. So my coloring book, I have all these like dedications, and then I have this like just thanks to Fern Co-working, and it's like a bunch of like fragmented sentences, but they spell folklore down the spine.
I love it. I love a little Easter egg.
Yeah, but that's the only thing I really knew about her.
So I'm going to throw in some local lore here. Have you seen the West Winds Motel over on Riverside Drive in Mount Vernon?
The one that
By Maxdale's entrance.
Yeah.
Do you ever look up at their reader board?
Yes.
Do you ever recognize any of those words or lyrics?
Are they Taylor Swift
They're
lyrics?
always Taylor Swift lyrics. I'm not even, and this goes back at least a year and a half or more. And I'm over there because I'm taking my daughter to dance, and so every time I drive by, I want to see what different. And a lot of them are like deep cuts, so you really wouldn't know unless you were a Swiftie. And I'm like, I have like a group of friends I send texts to every time, like, "Oh, it's new, it's a new one." Okay, so this is a typical me story. So I'm like, I love this person. I don't know this person that's doing this at this kind of divey little motel, but I love it, and I love what they're doing. So at Christmas, I'm like, I just want to spread a little Merry Swiftmas. And I was getting ready to go to the Vancouver concert, and I was like, I made some my kids and I made some bracelets, and I was like, I'm just gonna like go grab a little Starbucks gift card and go drop off. I'm like, hey, we love what you're doing. Just when you see something great, like why not tell somebody, hey, we love what you're doing. You're bringing a smile to our face.
I like that too. Instead of telling everybody else, go tell that person.
Yeah, tell that person.
Yeah.
And so I walked in there, and did not know what to expect from this motel. And there were dogs barking at me when I got in there, and there was a person working at the front desk, and I was like, "Are you the person that does the signs, the reader board signs?" And she kind of looks at me. She's like, "Maybe like why?" kind of. And I was like, because I was out of context. I was just this lady stopped in there. I just dropped a Lyle off at dance, and so I go into my little goodie bag, and I was like, well, I love it. I love it so much. It brings so much joy, and I just want to share. And I'm like, and I'm telling this story to people, but I made a TikTok about it a while ago, and I thought TikTok was going away, so it's out there. And so she's like, oh, and so we start talking, and she's a Swiftie, and I was like, I just love every single time I come by, I try to get a picture and send it to my friends that live in different states because we always want to know what the newest one says. And so she's like, well. She's like, what's your name? And I was like, oh, you don't need to put anything up there for me. She's like, no, I want to do something for you guys. She's like, what's your daughter's name? And I was like, well, I gave her my daughter's name, and I was like, her name's Lila. I was like, but you don't have to do anything special for her. She's like, no, I've got something. So I think I want to say like maybe 3 weeks later, I drive by, and so I gave her Cammie and Lila, and I was like, but please, you don't have to put our names up there or anything, but just we appreciate you, we love what you're doing, and we see you, and it's really fun. So we go by, and she has put up. I should get it from my phone because I can't even remember. It was actually a song that I was not very familiar with the lyrics. But I'm looking at it, and then I realized, I'm like, why are there red letters up there? Why? In the red letters, she had used lyrics that had our names as an Easter egg.
Gosh.
Like, come on, how great is that?
That is
so we were so
cool.
excited, and it was up for a couple of weeks, and I was like, that's our sign. But yeah, it's just, honestly, it's just fun things like that bring people together for something fun that they enjoy, and that, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's my local Taylor Swift lore. The West Winds Motel. Go drive by there and see the lyrics. You'll see. Sometimes I have to look them up because they are super deep cuts, and I don't know the lyrics to every song, but I'd say like I'm like an 80%, 85% of the collection lyric familiar.
So the Taylor Swift concert in Vancouver, you were telling me about like a certain like sort of ticket drop hack that you had. Did you just start sort of looking into that and doing a deep dive because of Taylor Swift, or have you done this for other concerts?
Definitely because of Taylor Swift.
You're just really curious. I'm noticing that.
I love to learn things.
Yeah.
So what I learned early
Western
on.
won't let me back anymore.
No, I know. I've maxed out how many classes I can take.
The internet's like, you're done, Cammie. Just put your phone down.
So there's two things I love. I love connecting people with something exciting and fun, and I love a good challenge. So what I found with Taylor Swift tickets, I had registered when the original first release came out for the first tour, the first North American tour. I did not get drawn on any of my submissions, and then I was really, really bummed. I actually had grandparents all sign up for me. I had Craig start an account, everybody, and nobody got drawn in the lottery to be able to have the opportunity to buy tickets. Devastated. I actually remember going into our friend's house that day, and I was like, nobody can talk to me. I'm being dramatic right now. I didn't get tickets. And it was mostly because I had been a lifelong Taylor Swift fan, but not like a hardcore Swiftie. Like from the beginning, every album that came out, I'd have like 2 or 3 favorite songs, but I wasn't, and I always like followed her in pop culture, but I wasn't like hardcore. But Lila, my 12-year-old now, when she was little, we would listen to Taylor Swift. I have countless videos of her singing Taylor Swift songs, and like it was just something that we loved. And I thought, what better way to introduce her to her first big concert experience than to go to Taylor Swift? So that was why I was like really committed to getting the tickets. And we had some friends who were incredibly gracious enough to offer us 2 of their tickets to Seattle, which was just 2 years ago yesterday officially, July 23rd. And they happened to be on the floor. They happened to be 14 rows back from the stage, and they happened to give us the 2 tickets that were on the aisle so that my 10-year-old at the time could perfectly look up the aisle with no obstruction and see Taylor Swift on stage. So it was absolutely incredible. They were so good to us. And somewhere through TikTok, I'd been kind of hearing a little bit about some of these ticket drops, and that at the end, so the deal is, and this happens actually with most concerts with Ticketmaster, for better or for worse, the beast that it is, they do hold back a certain number of tickets until they actually set up venues for the concerts, because every concert's different, every stage is different, and how they can configure it to maximize how many seats. So I learned quickly that by following these ticket drops at other locations leading up to Seattle, that there was very likely going to be a Seattle ticket drop. And I had a friend who had gotten scammed out of significant amount of money trying to get tickets for her kids through Facebook scams, and she'd taken her kids to every single tour before, and I was like, this is a total shot in the dark, but I'm going to try to get you guys tickets. And if I get them, you hopefully can go to Seattle the same night as we do. And that was like, looking back now, I'm like, was such an inflated sense of like, I can do this. But sometimes you have to fake it until you make it.
Yep,
and so I remember I was out to dinner at a restaurant, and I knew, so that there's all these other people doing the hard work out there. So they had like pinpointed, like these are typically the days. So they usually are setting up this venue on Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday is typically where they do their ticket drop, and then they'll also do one like the day before. Day before is usually like once they have like all the chairs set out on the floor, those would be floor seats, so they could like be like 1 off on the end, maybe 2 off on the end here. But the Wednesday drop was typically a stage setup, so they would have the stage set up, and then they would figure out how far back they could put people so they could still see the video screens, and those would be $49 tickets. So that's, just unreal, right? So I was following a couple Twitter accounts, and they would just basically tweet go. And the minute the go went out, you get into Ticketmaster. So everything was preloaded, ready to go, logged in, cards ready to go. And then the minute you see this tweet go, and I had all the alerts set for it, you just get in there and you start clicking. And I was able to get 4 tickets for our friends for that Saturday. That was for that concert night. And so then I was like kind of like trying to teach other people that I knew how to get tickets. And I was like, well, if she comes to Vancouver, I'm going to try to get tickets there, and I'm going to share as much information. So I have an email that I send out to people, and then I'm like, this is how it goes. This is what you should expect.
Do you have like a email list? Like a
I don't.
Cammy's newsletter?
I don't. Nobody wants to actually read that.
Oh,
but so I basically kind of learned, and I followed. I had had the opportunity to buy tickets in Europe, and I was like, do we go? Do we not? And I kind of figured out how to do that. But I had also been registered for London for the last 5 dates in London, and I'd gotten codes sent to me. This was later on, and so it was really important to me to get as many true fans to the concerts as possible. And I didn't know that I was going to become this broker of sorts. But I had gotten drawn for the London, and I was on part of some group in Twitter, and somebody was like, hey, if anybody has any codes, let me know. So I ended up connecting with this girl that was in London with her sister, and she's like, is there any chance you can try to get us tickets? And I was like, sure, like, there's a lot of trust going on in here. She could see my profile. She could see that I'd been to a concert, that I was allegedly a real human, but she put a huge amount of trust in me because she actually gave me her credit card to pay for it, because I was like, well, the tickets were really inexpensive in Europe because of the way that their ticketing system is set up. It's not quite the monopoly that Live Nation Ticketmaster is. So you could get tickets for $100 that were decent seats. More expensive tickets were maybe $300-$400, but you weren't seeing like the $800, $900 face value tickets like you were in the U.S. So I was like, well, I could get them for her, and then, if I'm out, I can figure out a way to transfer them to somebody else. But we connected, and here she is on London time, 9 hours difference than me, and we're like kind of like trying to figure out how we're going to do this. And I get in there, and I'm able to get her 2 tickets, and she's like, well, just get 2 and then see if we can get 2 for closing night London in 2 days when those next batch are going to be released. I was like, okay. I ended up getting her 4 tickets. 2
Yeah.
She took her sister one night and another friend that hadn't been to the concert that night. I can go on about this for a long time here.
That's so
We're
cool.
going to start losing people. So I actually had gotten Toronto tickets for my family when she released the North American Part 2, the actual end of the Eras Tour leg. At the time, they hadn't added Vancouver, so it was just Toronto in that section that they added, and that was the closest to home, and it's pretty cheap to get to. I was like, okay, I'm going to get Toronto tickets. So I got drawn, got lucky. Again, all these things had to happen in order for me to get those tickets. So I got 4 really good tickets for Toronto. And I ended up getting onto this Eras Tour trade Excel sheet where people could be like, hey, I have these tickets, but I need these tickets, and who wants to swap?
Oh.
Which also seems mildly risky. But I was at that point, Vancouver had been released, and all these Canadian Swifties had all gotten Toronto. And then a bunch of people that couldn't get Toronto got Vancouver, but they might be Toronto people. So people were exchanging, and I ended up exchanging our family's 4 tickets to Toronto to Vancouver. Meanwhile, I also had a friend that got tickets to Indianapolis, and she was like, I'm not going to go. Do you want the tickets? And I was like, well, yeah, I'll take the tickets. I'll take 4 tickets and give 2 to some friends that I know want to go and would travel for it, and then I'll take a friend to – this sounds like a lot. I knew it was a lot, and I was like, actually, I'm not gonna go. So I ended up trading those tickets to somebody else for Vancouver tickets to get somebody else tickets there, I think. And I can't even remember. But essentially, I think I got like 6 separate groups of people to the Eras Tour through trading and through getting tickets, and it was just fun. It was really fun. It was like Barbie summer. It was like Eras Tour summer. We were all having a great time, and it was just fun.
Well, like you said, you like a challenge.
Yes, I love a challenge.
Just to say, like, I got this many tickets for this girl in England. And
yeah, people that – and so the cool thing was, so she had said, hey, if you can get me tickets, she's like, I have an extra signed Tortured Poets Department album. So inside the Tortured Poets Department vinyl, there was an insert that was signed by Taylor Swift, and I didn't have one of those. And I don't collect a ton of the merch, but I was like, I think my daughter would really like that. So in doing that, she actually sent us one of the signed inserts that she got because she had gotten 2 vinyls. So that was kind of fun. You know, just like connecting like that and just humanity, right? People supporting each other, doing something fun. And as Taylor always says, let people be excited about something. Let them have fun. It's not hurting anyone, and let's support people just enjoying life. And I really hold that true to the vest.
So speaking about someone who also enjoys life, we won't spend too long on him, but we'll talk about Craig.
Oh, that guy?
Well, my first thought was, you are so entrenched in Avalon. How did Craig start working at Skagit Country Club? And is that like a constant?
They're such separate spheres because it's a private club and it's a public / semi-private course. So it's totally 2 different audiences for the most part. And the golf community, whether it's specific golf courses or just golf pros, like everybody's really friendly. It's a very supportive culture. So his family, this is his story to tell, but his grandparents actually bought Skagit Golf and Country Club back in the 50s or 60s when it was 9 holes. They were real estate developers, so they ended up developing a second 9 and all the houses and lots on it. So then they took it and sold it to the membership. So that was kind of his family's original story with being involved in the country club. Fast forward to his parents, and his dad was actually the pro at the country club. And he's from California. He'd come up, he actually, I could get this wrong, but he was at Sahali, which I mentioned earlier, which was that other 27-hole course where the owner of my course grew up playing, and that was how he knew Craig's dad, and that was how he had developed a relationship with Craig over the years because of that. And so his dad was moved up from Sahali and became the pro here at Skagit Golf and Country Club, and that's where he met Craig's mom, whose family had been involved there for ages and were a big golf family. And so he was like our son Jack right now, who's at the club today, hanging out at the pro shop with Dad, filling range buckets and just chatting up the members. He did the same thing. He was around the club all the time growing up. He worked there in high school. He worked there in college, and so he's very deeply entrenched there as well.
You could probably give me the name of 10 people at the golf course that you've met over the years that you're like, oh my gosh, this person has such a great story, you know?
Yeah. Well, all people have great stories. That's the
I
beauty of
know.
it, right?
Well, no, you were like, I'm going to be so terrible. I don't know why you want me on here.
I don't know why.
Everyone's got a great story except for me.
Yeah, literally. Ooh, I was in a Macklemore music video.
Wait, which one?
Well, it was actually his promo for the Bogey Boys golf line. So a friend of mine is a
Bogey Boys?
So that's Macklemore's like golf brand. So he has like Spencer should check it out.
I didn't know that he golfed.
He is big time golf. Like he loves golf, and so he created a clothing line. Like it was during COVID, so it was like 2021, I think, is when it released. But so a friend of mine is this amazing film videographer. He has a company that does big stuff. Like he's done Ed Sheeran music videos. He traveled with Macklemore through the European tour for his YouTube channel. Like he does awesome, amazing things. Shout out to Ryan. And he started at Avalon. So it's kind of one of those things where people connect, right? So many kids and people have worked at Avalon over the years, and that's where it's just been a great way to meet people and stay connected. And so Ryan used to work out cleaning carts and then in the pro shop. And so we were all there at the same time. And he's become he's got this huge production company. They do amazing things, but he always comes back to Avalon and does stuff for us. Like he'll do our commercials. He just did a whole ton of drone footage for flyovers for our website.
Oh, cool.
And he had worked with Macklemore, and they needed a golf course to promote for their Bogey Boys golf line. And he's like, hey, can we rent the course for the afternoon? I was like, yeah, for sure. He's like, and so we need some people to be in it. They don't have a women's line yet because this was the launch of it. And so he's like, they don't have a women's line yet. But how would you feel about if you just were in it a little bit? And I was like, well, I'm not a model. I'm not that person. He's like, oh no, these are model. We're not doing model people. I was like, well then, okay, I guess that works. And so it was really fun. We got to be on set the whole day, and I was kind of just facilitating all the things, the timing of things, making sure the restaurant was prepared for all their meals because they had a full crew there. They brought out like some cool old vintage golf carts. They had a guy with a Dalmatian. It was kind of like a golf fever dream a little bit. But the final product was awesome, and I got to be in like a friend and I were like in 12 seconds of clips throughout it. And we were the girls, right? We wanted to have some female representation, even though they didn't have clothes. So I've got a sweet sweater that I wore, and it's still hanging in my closet. And I tell my kids, I was in a music video once, way back. And they're like, no, Mom's not that cool.
What do you do with your photos? Like, did someone hire you?
No, these are just passion projects. I always kind of
joked.
You
just keep them?
Yeah. I mean, I've done some art shows, and I used to produce a calendar.
Oh.
And it was a big project because I was really specific about how this calendar looked. I wanted it to be a fine art calendar. This wasn't just a glossy, 12-month calendar. It was printed on some really cool paper, and I actually put them together myself because I wanted to display a certain way. But then it was always running into like this was done. An October, November, December project, which as a parent with kids and Christmas and all of our family's birthdays are in December and November and December. It got to be insanity. So a couple years ago, I stopped doing my calendar, but it was a really fun project because it was a way that my art was displayed on people's homes all year round.
Yeah.
I mean, it was actually designed so that people could, when they were done with it, was an 8x8. The actual image was an 8x8 square, so people could cut out and use them and frame them if they wanted to afterwards.
Oh, cool.
So someday I'll probably go back to doing that.
Have you thought about doing like a coffee table book?
I have. Who has enough time for all these things? Yeah, no, I
was going to say,
add it to the list of things I'd love to do.
I know.
But so I've done art shows before where I've had art for sale. I've done note cards and all the little accessories things, but I just run out of time to do things, and something has to give, and that's where that's gone. But we have some of my art displayed in my home. I've got some of my art displayed in other people's homes, but at the end of the day, I think the majority of my art is the family photos that I take, and I love that. I love seeing people's photos up on their walls, on display in their homes. So, yeah.
So basically, people can. I think do you have an Instagram for your photography?
I do, but I'm not super active there posting anything.
So if people want to get in touch with you and they're like, hey, I want you to photograph our event or whatever, how do they get in touch with you?
So they knock 3 times, take turns. So I will be completely honest. My photography schedule is super full, so I don't actively ever really pursue things. But if they want to get a hold of me, absolutely, they can reach out, and there's always room for more. I have a hard time saying no. But yeah, Instagram's a way you can get a hold of me. And I think part of what my service is that I provide is that it's an experience. So when you look at my Instagram, you're not going to see very much work because I rarely actually post a physical post. But I do update stuff in my stories. And a lot of it's kind of like my life and behind the scenes, because a photographer is somebody that you are inviting into your wedding or to your family. They're someone that you kind of get to be intimately close with, right? Like if I am photographing a wedding, I always tell my wedding clients, pick someone that you want there for every single moment of your wedding day, because that's what your photographer will be. They need to be the right personality for you and what you're looking for from your day. And I think that same thing also translates to what family photographers, because you're going to need to, everybody comes into family photography with a heightened sense of stress. I put my family in front of the camera with another photographer at least used to be every year, every couple of years, so that I can be on that receiving end of what it's like to be making sure we're all dressed right, making sure we've planned all these things. And then you have to have somebody that you can connect with so that you can feel comfortable. So your kids can be silly. So your kids, they might act out and be not doing what you want them to do, but trust your photographer that they're going to guide them to get what you need out of these moments. And I want people, my goal is always when people walk away from a family session with me that was fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't stressful. It wasn't something that was, it causes anxiety and we've afterward we're just so glad it's over. It's more like, we could keep going. And honestly, I always feel like, I can keep you guys here all night. We're losing light. I want to keep shooting, but I've had your kids out here for an hour and 20 minutes, and honestly, they're all stars, and they deserve to be done. I could always ask for more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think, that connection and experience is so important. So when you're hiring a photographer for family photos, I photographed. I mean, the things I've photographed over the years, it's crazy. It runs a whole gamut from doing corporate stuff down. Like I worked with a lab. Actually, it was a lab that was they developed the first rapid COVID tests.
Oh wow!
It's a lab funded by the Melinda Gates, Bill and Melinda Gates at the time, and I think it's just Melinda Gates Foundation now. So I've gotten to do behind the scenes lab stuff in their labs where they're creating these things.
Wow, that's crazy.
I did their headshots for like an entire team of 40. I've done stuff for people that I can't actually disclose what I've done because I've signed an agreement saying I won't discuss. Like if, for example, like a court case, and I'm helping gathering not evidence but like things to show in court, like
wow.
Things that are multi-million-dollar cases. So photography has taken me so many different places. It's really, really fun just to have behind the scenes, being on the set for filming of videos and movies and things like that. Like it's been so much fun.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like that's something that you're not just having fun doing the photography and learning stuff, but you're getting to meet people, which it sounds like we're similar in that aspect. It's like, I want to meet everybody.
Yes. Tell me your story. It's like a conduit, right? What we're doing, whether it's podcasting or writing or photography, it's just a way to like connect with people, essentially.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
I love the whole legacy idea too. Like one of my earliest podcasts was with this guy, Steve. So Steve lives in Concrete, and he has a hangar at the airport. First of all, Concrete has an airport, which a lot of people don't even know.
Fantastic.
Yep. It's called Myers Field. In his hangar, he has all of these movie posters. Obviously, Griff will get older, and he can go onto IMDb, and he can see all the movies that Steve did. But he's not going to experience this. Like, we're in a bar listening to Steve's stories, and he just captivates a room, and people are exploding in laughter. And we're thinking, I want to capture this. So we've done 2 podcasts sitting in his hangar with our buddy Jeff from Arizona, Steve, and then Preston, Griff's dad, Steve's son. Just literally sitting around, Steve just telling stories about meeting Ben Stiller when he was 13. and just so Griff will get to hear his grandpa's stories and also hear how people react to them, which I think is the best part. Mm-hmm. So my point is that I'm sure your kids will never forget all the stuff you do, but you do a lot of stuff. So it's just really cool that, like, say Lila goes off to college and she can be like, I want to listen to Mom's voice. Oh, I know, I'm sorry. I don't have any recordings of my mom's voice. And so that's like definitely something that I thought of too in this. And like I have a couple intros with Olive, and she is so ridiculous in them and so silly. And I remember thinking like, what's the point of this? But she's so different now. I listen now and I'm like, oh my God, she's changed so much. Yeah. She doesn't have that sense of humor, that particular 10-year-old sense of humor anymore. So,
capturing those things, I think. And that's probably why I love photography, right? Like every single one of those ages and stages, I'm getting to the point this year that I've had kids that were, they weren't newborns, but they were 3 years old when their newborn sister was born. They're high school seniors this year. So I have photographed them since they were 3 years old.
Oh, man.
Which is crazy to me, but that's where we are. And I think just all the different ages and stages, the missing teeth, the awkward preteen stage, and then these amazing, beautiful almost 18-year-old seniors. Like, what a gift to be able to follow these families along or create content that's going to be there in perpetuity. I think that's
so. Yeah, if people want to get a hold of you, I guess we'll put your stuff out, but you probably won't do it. No, I think if someone gave you a challenge, like not just like a wedding, but like, hey, I'm going to do this event. It's really weird. You won't even know the details. You'll go, I'm in.
Yeah.
This sounds, or they'll go, I don't know, Cammie, I don't know if you can do this. And you'll be like, hire me.
Exactly. Absolutely. I love a good challenge, and doing something different is always exciting.
Yeah. And like you said, your tagline is, why not?
Why not?
So go out there and do something today.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for coming over.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really fun.